Coming up, the Albuquerque Biopark takes a look at its own exhibit after a gorilla in Cincinnati had to be killed. What officials say they found and the changes they say are coming just ahead. And back in court, a former top APS official heads back in front of a judge for a retrial on child sex assault charges. When we could hear more about that case coming up, plus this.
As a country, we will be there for the people of Orlando today, tomorrow, and for all the days to come.
Flags remain at half-staff this morning as the country grapples with its deadliest mass shooting in modern history. The new information we just learned in the last half hour coming up. Good morning, everybody. 6 o'clock here on KRQE News 13 this morning. I'm Adam Atchison. Officials in Orlando have just wrapped up a news conference on the deadly mass shooting that took place at a nightclub in Orlando over the weekend. And just in the last half hour, I want to recap some of what we've learned. We've now learned the number of victims has changed. The FBI special agent in charge says 48 out of the 49 victims have been identified. That is 49 plus the shooter, makes a total of 50. Dozens more, though, were injured after the shooting inside a gay nightclub. The FBI says they've now notified 24 families, and the names of those victims and their ages have been posted online. Police say 29-year-old Omar Mateen was armed with an AR-15 semi-automatic assault rifle and a handgun when he opened fire inside the crowded club around 2 on Sunday morning. And as more families wait to hear the fate of their loved ones this morning, survivors are telling some of their harrowing stories this morning.
They were like dragging bodies, people that were wounded, just to get them out of the way. Yeah, probably the worst feeling I've ever felt in my entire life.
The FBI is investigating this incident as an act of terrorism after Mateen went into a bathroom at the club and called 911 to pledge his allegiance to ISIS. He was investigated in both 2013 and in 2014. The FBI says their next step is working on 100 plus leads and processing the scene with the shooting reconstructionist. Coming up at 6:30 this morning, a former co-worker speaks about Mateen's bizarre behavior while he worked for him. Stick with us for that. We'll have that reaction in about a half hour from now. As Orlando mourns, so do many communities across the country, including here in New Mexico. Hundreds gathered at Morningside Park last night to honor the victims. There were prayers, speeches, lots of tears. Last night, event speakers not only remembered the Orlando victims, but called for the U.S. to speak out against any anti-Muslim rhetoric that could arise from this shooting. Many people in the crowd said they share that message and they're dedicated to spreading love, not hate.
I think that's probably the most important message to pull away from this is that you can't combat hate with hate. And I think one person's action doesn't define an entire community's ideals.
You could feel the love. You could feel the hurt. I'm so proud to call Albuquerque my home.
Muslim speakers reminded the crowd that the shooter does not represent them, no matter what he claimed. Also developing this morning, the owner of Effects nightclub is in the process of creating a plan of action in the event of an active shooter. This as they also consider strengthening security measures in the wake of what happened in Orlando. That club is the largest gay club in Albuquerque, and the owner says the news of this tragedy hits close to home.
This morning, the first thing we talk about is how it happened there, and we need to have more details and what can we put in place in our establishment to make sure that if something happens, we protect the most people that we can.
She says they're also creating plans so that people know what to do if a shooter does get through their security. This morning, response to the worst mass shooting in U.S. history has been met with an outpouring of support as thousands of volunteers rushed to donate blood in order to help out the victims. Yesterday, the line to donate was wrapped around the block. Right now, there is a GoFundMe page set up to help those victims, raising more than $1 million. We're going to post that link to our page on our website. Just go to krqe.com. You'll find the latest details there. We're following this story as it develops all morning long. I want to let you know we do have a link to the full list of victims, ages, names, all of that right now as the city of Orlando does update that. You'll find that link not only on the KRQE News app, but we got a direct link too on the Facebook page this morning, so you can check that out and stay with us on air all throughout the morning. We will update you as soon as any other new information comes in. Let's send things over to Kristen now. She's got a look at your weather outside as you head out the door. Hot weekend out there.
Yeah, we were in the 90s both Saturday and Sunday. As far as this morning goes, pretty pleasant. 68 degrees is where we're at. A little bit of high cloud cover out there, but not much. And those winds light at the hour, but those winds will pick up this afternoon, about 15 to 25 out of the west-southwest. Temperatures across the state, 50s, 60s, and 70s, so really not too bad to kick off a Monday. Hourly forecast puts us back into the 80s by lunchtime, eventually topping out in the low 90s. So the heat will pretty much be the main story this week. We'll get a few storms to fire up this afternoon, but I just wanted to give you a little teaser of what's ahead. 7-day forecast for Roswell. It even hurts to look at, guys. I'm telling you, triple digits likely in many areas this week. I'm going to break down everything you need to know, including those numbers, coming up here in just about 10 minutes.
Happening today and in just hours, Roswell police say they could possibly hear more about an arrest of a man who allegedly murdered 5 people in Roswell over the weekend. News 13's Sarah Yingling has the details now. Sarah?
Adam, Roswell police are just waiting on an official confirmation from Mexico authorities that Juan David Villegas Hernandez is in custody. Police have been looking for Villegas Hernandez since Saturday after he allegedly killed his wife and 4 daughters who range in age from 3 to 14 years old. Police say they believe it was some kind of domestic dispute that turned deadly. It wasn't until late Saturday night that police responded to his home after family members made the chilling discovery. It's a case that has both police and neighbors in shock.
Those little girls are always so happy and playing all the time.
It's just very alarming, and I'm a mom myself, and my heart goes out to their families.
Again, we're told Villegas Hernandez may already be in custody in Mexico, but they say officers need to fully confirm. Adam?
Sarah, thanks so much. We're going to keep you updated on air and online as information does become available to us here at KRQE. Happening tomorrow, APS's former deputy superintendent is expected back in court to begin a retrial on child sex assault charges. That's according to the Albuquerque Journal. Jason Martinez was hired by former Superintendent Luis Valentino, but he never underwent a background check. He resigned from his post last August after it was revealed he was facing child abuse charges in Denver. Martinez is accused of abusing 2 relatives under the age of 12. Valentino resigned shortly after Martinez and got an $80,000 buyout. Happening this week, Oscar Pistorius will be back in court to face sentencing in the murder of his former girlfriend, Reva Steenkamp. After a nearly 50-day trial stretched out over 7 months, Pistorius was convicted of culpable homicide in September 2014 for shooting Steenkamp 4 times through a bathroom door. This will be the first time that the public has seen Pistorius since his first trial. New changes are coming to the Albuquerque Biopark after a scary situation in Ohio that led to the death of a gorilla. The Albuquerque Journal reports that zoo officials have reevaluated the facility's gorilla exhibit here after a Cincinnati zoo official killed a gorilla last month to save a young boy who had slipped into the animal's enclosure. Biopark Zoo manager Lynn Tupa says a slight gap between the ends of the exhibit's railing and a rock wall will be modified to include extra bars. 6:08 now, and an Oregon father who tried to impress his young son by holding his breath is lucky to be alive today. The Shanks say that they were swimming recently during playtime in the pool when Nathan tried holding his breath. You can normally hold it for about 4 minutes, but something did not go right, and Nathan says he blacked out, suffering brain damage from lack of oxygen, and his lungs were full of water. As he drifted in and out of consciousness, he says he remembers hearing someone call for a clergy. This morning, Nathan is doing okay. He says he's just thankful to be here and still thinks about firefighters who helped him to safety from the swimming pool. Request granted, where a man accused in a triple murder will now be able to spend some of his time until he faces a retrial. And a house fire destroys 2 homes and explodes into a full-fledged wildfire, where authorities say it stands today. Coming up, also this.
I just need to know where is Jimmy, what happened to him.
After the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history, family and friends wait for word on their loved ones this morning. Good morning, everybody. 6:30 here on KRQE News 13 this morning. I'm Adam Atchison.
Good morning. I'm Kristen Curry. Today is Monday, June 13th.
Starting a brand new week. I know it's tough sometimes to get going. So how are we facing today?
Yes, I'll tell you, we do look to see some pretty quiet weather in most areas. There's just a handful of storms out there as we get into the later part of this afternoon, but our temperatures, not bad. 64 in Ruidoso, 73 out in Alamogordo, 72 in TRC. You'll find more of those 40s and 50s as you get into northern New Mexico here, but Albuquerque 60 68 is how we're going to start our Monday, and it's going to be a fast warm-up, guys. By lunchtime, I expect us to be in the mid-80s. Later today, topping out in the low 90s. I'm going with a high temperature of about 91. We were in the low 90s over the weekend, so you can expect those same kind of numbers. Quick look at that allergy report. Shows all you have to worry about today: pine and grass, everything else down to low. But the winds will pick back up this afternoon, so we'll see if that plays a factor in tomorrow's pollen forecast. But we are looking at winds about 15 to 25 miles per hour. And as far as the numbers go, slightly cooler for our Tuesday, but do not let that fool you, because by Wednesday, we'll get back to the 90s. We will likely finish up this week and start the weekend with some of the warmest temperatures we've seen all year, even getting close to 100 degrees here in Albuquerque. So it's going to be a hot Father's Day weekend. I'm going to break down everything you need to know. That brand new 7-day forecast coming up here in about 10 minutes.
All right, Kristen, we'll see you then. 6:32. As you wake up today, there's some new information in the mass shooting at an Orlando nightclub. Let's take a live look right now from an aerial view over the scene of where this happened at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, and that actually is just to the left side of the screen, a little bit off screen right now. You can still see some of the crime scene tape though, and some of the vehicles that authorities have had on scene blocking that road. The Wendy's down there at the bottom of the screen is where some of the victims say they had to run to while that active shooting was taking place on early Sunday morning. So that gives you some perspective there. But here's what we know today. CNN is now reporting that more people other than gunman Omar Mateen are being investigated. At a news conference just about an hour ago now, the U.S. attorney said he did not know if other charges are pending, but they did also say they found a third gun inside the shooter's vehicle parked at the nightclub. 50 people, including the gunman, were killed and more than 50 others hurt when the gunman opened fire with a semi-automatic rifle in a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida, early Sunday morning. Law enforcement officials say that gunman, Omar Mateen, pledged allegiance to Islamic State. And now a former co-worker is speaking out about his erratic and violent behavior.
He would hit things, and as he was hitting things, he would yell, and of course there was always curse words involved in that. And this wasn't seldom, it was almost all the time.
Authorities say they are going to release the names of more victims today, but already, as of today, 24 families have been notified, and the names and ages of those victims have been posted on the city's website. Meanwhile, American Muslim leaders are condemning that attack. Mateen's employer, G4X, where he worked as a security guard since 2007, says it is cooperating with the investigation. The area where that shooting happened, as you saw in the live picture a little bit ago, is still closed this morning as investigators process the scene. Also happening now, an Indiana man is behind bars hours after the FBI arrested him at a gay pride parade in Santa Monica, California. Police say they're trying to figure out why 20-year-old James Wesley Howell was heading to that area armed. Police say when they searched his car, they found 3 assault rifles and chemicals used to make explosives. The arrest happened a few hours after the mass shooting in Orlando. Here in Albuquerque, members of the LGBT community and others continue to mourn those killed in the tragedy.
I'd like to take this moment to just remember them.
Yesterday, Pride Fest organizers led a crowd in a moment of silence held at 2:02 p.m. It's exactly 12 hours after the shooting in Orlando. People wrote condolences on a poster board. That board will be sent to the city. Nearby flags flew at half-staff. Many say the attack made them think about the ongoing fight for acceptance.
We're standing up and not going to allow this terrorist to scare us, to say that we can't be who we are and live who we are proudly and freely.
Organizers say they held a meeting to discuss security measures, but they didn't do anything dramatically different because of the already solid security procedures in place. This morning, response to one of the worst mass shootings in U.S. history, or the worst, has been met with an outpouring of support as thousands of volunteers rushed to donate blood in order to help out the victims. Yesterday, the line to donate was wrapped around the block. Right now, there is a GoFundMe page set up to help out victims, raising more than $1 million. We do have a link to that page on our website, KRQE.com, so you can check it out yourself. We're going to be following the very latest from Orlando as soon as it develops here in the coming hours. Look for the latest coverage on air, online at KRQE.com, and on the KRQE News app. Time now 6:36. Happening now. Police say they're looking for any information on a deadly shooting in downtown Albuquerque over the weekend. Police say somebody called 911 Saturday night after hearing gunfire and seeing a body on the ground. When officers arrived, they found a man dead in the pay-to-park parking lot at the corner of Central and 6th. Detectives are urging anyone with information on that shooting to call 242-COPS. A New Mexico man accused in a triple murder is preparing to spend more time out of his house now while he awaits for a retrial. Nicholas Ortiz is facing three murder charges, accused of killing an El Rancho family. A jury deadlocked on those charges earlier this month. According to the Santa Fe New Mexican, a judge is allowing Ortiz to move to Santa Fe and spend 8 hours per week outside his house while awaiting a second trial. As you wake up today, fire crews remain busy monitoring hot spots from a bosque fire that burned at least 2 homes north of Socorro. At last check, the Escondida fire was at 500 acres. Authorities say it was sparked Friday after a house fire, and it eventually spread to both sides of the river. By Saturday, the surface fire was mostly out. One person was hurt trying to fight the flames, but still no word on how serious those injuries actually were. As of Saturday evening, the fire was about 30% contained. An accused thief is locked up today after Albuquerque police say he stole a rental car. According to a criminal complaint, Joseph Seacrest rented a Volkswagen Jetta from Enterprise, returned it, and then was caught on surveillance video coming back and taking it. Police tracked the car down to Seacrest's home near Copper in Wyoming. They found it in the garage after using the key fob to activate the alarm. Seacrest was arrested and told a judge yesterday morning his cash or surety bond was just too high.
I haven't known no one really to use me on my bond and my job if I kind of lost it.
I'm sorry that you find yourself in that position, but I do think a bond is appropriate. You failed to appear twice in previous cases.
His bond is now set at $1,000. The local campus of Brown Mackie College is not taking new students this morning. The school sent out a letter on Friday letting students know that it would teach out current students. In the letter, the school says it will continue to stay accredited while winding down. The college's website says it's no longer accepting new students. Albuquerque's closing is one of 22 campuses being phased out by the for-profit college. Also developing now, a rescue package from the U.S. may soon be on its way to help Puerto Rico dealing with a crippling $70 billion debt. This is a live look in Washington, D.C., where the House overwhelmingly backed a bipartisan bill that would create a financial control board and allow restructuring for some of the U.S. territory's debt. Puerto Rico owes a $2 billion payment to creditors on July 1st after missing several payments. The bill now goes to the Senate. We are just weeks away from the next Summerfest celebration in Albuquerque. The Heights Summerfest returned to North Domingo Baca Park over the weekend. Saturday night's event kicked off Albuquerque's annual Summerfest series with food, drinks, and live music. The big headliner this year, Rusted Root, which is known for the 90s hit song, Send Me On My Way.
I'm out here enjoying the spirits and the beer and the music. Rusted Root's been around for like 25 years, and it's been really nice to see them having a really good time.
A lot of fun. The Route 66 Summerfest is up next. That event is scheduled for July 16th in Nob Hill. New on this Monday morning, the latest list for the best places to retire is now out. Kiplinger look at factors like every state's economy, taxes on retirees, and health care. The 3 at the top of the list, Georgia, Utah, and sitting at number 1, South Dakota. New Mexico did not rank in the top 10 on that list.